Christ! Jesus! Help me, Will!
The film was adapted from David Morrell's 1972 novel of the same name. Morrell took the name Rambo from a type of apple cultivated by Peter Gunnarsson Rambo, a Swedish immigrant who settled in North America in the 1600s. In the novel, the character didn't even have a first name. In the film, however, he became John Rambo. Morrell struggled to find a strong name while writing, until one day he asked his wife about the apple he was eating. When she said Rambo, he instantly felt the power in the name. It also reminded him of the French poet Rambo, whose famous work A Season in Hell felt like a perfect metaphor for Rambo's torment and memories of captivity. Morrell was first inspired to write about a decorated soldier struggling to adjust to civilian life after reading about World War II legend Audie Murphy, the most decorated U.S. soldier in history, honored by 5 foreign nations. Murphy even played himself in the film adaptation of his autobiography To Hell and Back, and appeared in 44 films afterward. But his severe PTSD became a major influence on how Morrell shaped Rambo. Morrell eventually rewrote the concept for the Vietnam era, because the political and cultural climate he witnessed in the late 1960s at Penn State reflected the tension he needed. He later wrote the novelizations of Rambo 2 and Rambo 3, because in the first book Rambo dies, meaning the only way to continue the character was to rewrite history. The film rights for First Blood were purchased in the early 1970s by Columbia Pictures, then passed to Warner Brothers and bounced between studios for a decade. Between 1972 and 1982, it became one of Hollywood's most traded projects. Independent producers Mario Kassar and Andrew Vina eventually bought the rights. During that time, more than 26 draft scripts were written, and actors like Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, Clint Eastwood, Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, John Travolta, and Dustin Hoffman were considered for Rambo. Al Pacino was even offered the role, but rejected it because he wanted Rambo to be far more unhinged, like in the novel. Sylvester Stallone was approached because of his popularity from Rocky, but he initially declined the offer. He thought the role had been passed around too much and the film would never be made. He only joined the project after being offered $3.5 million and the opportunity to rewrite the script. Stallone didn't want Rambo to be the uncontrollable killing machine of the novel. He wanted audiences to empathize with him, a broken veteran rejected by society. Despite Rambo's reputation as a shoot-first, ask-later character, in First Blood he kills no one. He only injures those hunting him. This was a deliberate change Stallone added. In the novel, Rambo spirals into mass violence due to PTSD. Stallone feared that would disconnect the audience, so he reshaped Rambo into a misunderstood and mistreated victim. The only death, Deputy Galt, happens because he loses balance and falls from a helicopter. Rambo only throws a rock in self-defense. According to David Morrell, Colonel Trotman's name was derived from Uncle Sam, symbolizing the government that created Rambo and then abandoned him. The role was originally given to Kirk Douglas. He even appeared in early promotional materials, but he left when he wasn't allowed to rewrite the ending. Douglas insisted that Rambo should die, just like in the novel. Stallone and director Ted Kotcheff wanted to leave Rambo's fate open-ended, so Douglas walked away. Richard Crenna joined with only 1 day of preparation and became iconic. Rambo's knife was specially designed by master bladesmith Jimmy Lyle. It had to function as a survival tool, long and sharp enough to cut wood waterproof storage for medicine and matches internal cord for traps and fishing serrated spine for shelter building and defense. 6 knives were created for the film, with improved versions made for the sequels. Stallone later admitted he regretted accepting the role, until the moment filming began in Hope, Canada. The small mining town was struggling economically, and the production brought excitement and money into the community. Many extras in the film were local residents. But as shooting continued, tensions rose. Bar fights broke out between unemployed locals and crew members. Injuries were constant. Stallone cracked his ribs during the tree fall scene. While escaping from the National Guard explosion, a charge nearly severed his finger. He constantly battled hypothermia in sub-zero Canadian winter. Even for John Rambo, surviving that cold wasn't easy. During the jail hosing scene, the water pressure ripped off all the prosthetic wounds from his body. The makeup team spent 2 hours rebuilding them. In the finale, when Dennehy's character falls through the roof, the fall wasn't done by a stuntman. It was Dennehy himself who broke several ribs performing it. A stuntman was seriously injured during the motorcycle chase, and Stallone accidentally broke co-actor Alf Humphrey's nose during the jail escape, adding realism to the scene. One of the film's most iconic moments, the police car tumbling off the cliff and flipping, wasn't in the script. The crew loved the accidental crash so much that Kochev ordered the cameras to keep rolling. Dennehy then filmed his reaction inside the overturned car. During lunch break, Stallone walked into a local hospital to test how realistic his wound makeup looked. The nurses panicked, unaware it was fake. They told him he was one of the toughest men they had ever seen. Because the movie was shot in Canada, strict gun laws required all weapons to be imported from the US. But things went wrong. $50,000 worth of guns were stolen from the set and never recovered. Although they were modified to fire blanks, they could be converted back to live weapons, so the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Canadian military were sent to guard the production. The rotten tarp Rambo finds in the forest and turns into a coat wasn't a prop. It was discovered on location. Since there was only one, the crew treated it like sacred property. Stallone kept it after filming and still owns it. One major detail from the novel that didn't make the film is why Sheriff Teasle hates Rambo. In the book, Teasle is a forgotten Korean War vet, overshadowed by Vietnam vets like Rambo. His jealousy and bitterness drive much of his hostility. Stallone was a perfectionist during production. When he watched the first rough cut, which ran over 3 hours, he panicked, convinced it would ruin his career. He even offered to buy the negatives just to destroy them. But after seeing a tight 40-minute highlight reel, he changed his mind. The film was edited down to a powerful 90-minute version. The initial budget was $11 million, but production delays pushed it to $17 million, even delaying Rocky III. Despite all risks, First Blood became Stallone's biggest success outside the Rocky franchise, earning $125 million worldwide and resurrecting his career. This was Scene Diary. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.